Hello and welcome. Many parts of Indian manufacturing are experiencing a feeling of gloom and doom, but not everywhere. There are new interesting equations emerging, particularly between mid-sized industry in India and countries like Britain. Joining me to talk about the new evolving equations in manufacturing in this space is Dhruv Sawhney, Chairman and Group Head of the Triveni Group. Mr. Sawhney, thank you very much for speaking.
Thank you for having me.
Right.
Thank you.
So tell us about these new opportunities that you see, which are against a backdrop of slowing capital goods growth in India and a general sense of gloom and doom.
Well, I can talk about our space. I'm talking about the capital goods space, mainly the small power generation equipment. Small means up to 100 megawatt. Now, in the year, the current year and the last year, we've seen a very steep drop in the market in India from FY11, something like over 50%, which is quite extraordinary. And so that maybe...
So this is also where you're really feeling the brunt of all the delays in decisions and the hold-ups in projects and so on?
No, ours is not really in that line. It's a line that I haven't seen reported too much in the press.
I see.
Because, the delays are for large power projects, where there's a lot of linkages, where there's a lot of land problems and others. I'm talking about the captive power. So I'm really talking about someone who's not having a brownfield expansion in textiles or paper or cement. Now, these people have all postponed decisions. So I think this is not good. So, the capital goods is a lag and lead. And I've said this, I said this a year ago, where I didn't believe last year's growth rate was going to come because we were not getting that feeling. Now, actually, let me tell you, there's a slight change in the last couple of months in terms of inquiries that have been there, projects that have been there, but have been postponed for a year, where the people have had money. It's not even, it's the cost of money, which I'm not so happy about what's happened yesterday. It's the cost of money and the confidence of our customer in being able to expand his product. So this is a cycle that needs to be broken. Now, anyway, this has really forced companies like us, which we felt had a technologically globally competitive product, to really push overseas. Unfortunately, in our line, that's from 0 to 30 megawatt. We're now the second largest biomass-based power producer globally, supplying equipment. Again, that's not such a huge market, but it is a good position. And funnily enough, the model we had earlier was to look at seeing whether we could have local sales organizations or some local manufacturer. Actually, we got it a little wrong. The first place to start is with a service organization, which is fronted by people who are from that area. So let's say the UK, because it's very natural for us, one, because of the language, two, because it's easier for them to relate to our different classes of management, three, for supervisors and people of that level to go and coexist. It is easier in Britain than, let's say, in the Czech Republic or some other place which is fairly competitive.
In some sense, a sort of surplus of talent available on the
Now,
other side.
that is a surprising point. There's a very large amount of surplus talent. These are semi-employed people who've had very good jobs, but the industries have become uncompetitive. Now, there's really very little organization getting them together. What we bring to the table, funnily enough, is our entrepreneurial spirit and the money. We're not looking for the money from them. We're looking for their experience and actually giving them sort of joint sweat equity and a little bit of this entrepreneurial push. And we're also asking them to provide us with access to the markets they used to serve, because they've had this experience. Now, we find this is a very big opportunity. The next big opportunity for Indian manufacturing, and I'm talking about mid-sized companies, and there are a number of them like us, is in the waste to energy line in the UK. The UK is having to move, it is going to move to 32% renewable energy generation by 2020. And we've got 4 projects on in the UK in waste to energy at the frontier technology line. These are projects which are getting 2 ROCs, this is the renewable obligation certificates, and we're supplying 21 megawatt in one project.
And these are captive?
These are they're captive, but the for example, to give you one project which is using active pyrolysis, it's the largest car scrap waste facility in the UK anyway, probably in the world. Now, I think these are small areas where Indian manufacturing can have that access in this these projects.
So the Indian edge is it's of course its cost. It's the engineering capability and the build capability, I'm assuming, combined with an on-ground, onshore skills to deliver it.
Yes, but where we made a little breakthrough was we formed a joint venture with GE in India in the 3200 megawatt. And it's a 50-50, and they actually gave us one extra share with the brand. And it's a global market, manufactured in Bangalore.
Right.
The first thing we have to do is to accept every single compliance and procedure of GE. Now, that's not just for the sake of it. It makes you very efficient. And it makes the whole push overseas much more palatable. You know exactly how to approach.
Right.
Because this is their line. That's why they've picked us.
Right. So let me come back to the Indian market, and you hinted that you're beginning to see some stirrings of interest and orders coming back, or people coming back.
Not orders coming back,
people coming back and
yeah,
queries and so on.
Yeah.
So what's your prognosis of this sort of somewhat difficult year ahead, as many people?
Yeah, I think that we cannot be complacent. You know, my customers need a push to put the money. Now, I really feel in this manufacturing area, this power generation, and I'm not one for fiscal incentives or this, but this investment allowance, for example, that they brought has not worked. Then you have 1000 megawatt, so you need, if you're giving some incentive, you've got to make it into orders pretty quickly.
Yes. Because
there's a multiplier effect. You've got to get that moving, because you want to give the advantage and then collect more tax through growth. Now, there are a number of industries, such as ours in manufacturing, which have a lot of suppliers. So, it's not just the auto industry, I don't say that you don't concentrate there. So, this has not worked. So, I think, I know we're in the middle of a budget year, etc., and elections, but on the practical, on the ground, you need some spark. You really need some spark. You still need some spark. And that spark, we shouldn't always concentrate on the Reserve Bank.
Right.
And I think if we don't do it, I don't think the recovery will not happen, but it will take longer.
You're also one of the largest sugar players and integrated sugar manufacturers in India, and that's also a very regulated industry, and you've been affected as Triveni by price fixes by the government, which I guess is part of the course, but sometimes it may not be in your favor. How do you see the regulated part of the world working for private industry?
Well, I think sugar is a classic example of, the government brings out a commission, a Rangaraj commission, which is, gives certain recommendations. And then it washes its hands off saying this is in the central sector and this is in the state sector. With the result that the UP industry today has come together, and we've written to the Chief Minister saying that if you do not announce next year's policy, we do not want cane to start. We have the highest dues to the cane farmers today for the last 10 years. The losses are unbelievable. They themselves have gone for a supplementary budget to pay their own factories. Now, when you're doing this, you have to have some center-state cooperation.
Right.
This model was given by Rangarajan.
Right.
I'm not saying that you don't bite a political bullet, but if you are going to have political controls, then be very careful, because the UP industry has been ruined in the last 3 years because of this. And we have 50 million farmer families on sugarcane. So we're not talking about small, and who are affected? They are affected first.
Right.
The industry is second. And actually the consumer is not as much as the farmer here.
Yeah.
So I think this is a classic example of till things get so bad, they don't turn around.
So is that the sort of last kind? If I would ask you for a concluding word, and tying it with a prognosis of sorts. So are things getting so bad now that things will start improving? I mean, this is a macro question.
Oh, no, that's it. I'm saying that in sugar is different. Yeah. I made two differentials because they're very, very different and one can't generalize. I think in sugar, really something needs to be done very soon. In engineering, we need a slight kick. It's a better situation today than it was 4 months ago. I want to be positive there. But I really don't think that's enough. I think the potential is much more and we should grab it much more quickly and vigorously.
Mr. Sawhney, thank you very much for speaking with us.
Thank you.